Welcome to the Manuchehri podcast. Over the last 30 years, it has been my joy to assist humanity in aligning with their magnificence so they may heal, discover their natural gifts, and communicate with loved ones living on the other side. May you also experience delight while we dance in the powerful, intuitive world of energy. Let's get going. Welcome to my podcast. Welcome back if you're returning. And if you're new, I'm excited. I hope you enjoy our time together. I certainly do. I love podcasts and I love teaching. And this is a nice combination. So for those of you who are new, if you want to ask a question, you can just go to energyintuitive.com or mariemanuchehri.com, go to the podcast page and leave a voicemail that I will play here as I'm recording the podcast and answer the question for you. We have a lot of questions. I'm getting through them as quickly as I can. So if you've already left one, just know we're getting to you. And I hope you like the answers. So before I go to the phone line, if you will, and begin to answer questions, I wanted to talk about mediumship. So a medium is a being, and we all have these capacities at the very least for our family members and friends who now live beyond the veil. It's normal to be multisensory and to communicate to energy. And humanity is waking up to the fact that everything is made out of energy. Even though science has already proven this, modern science physicists know that everything is made out of subatomic particles. So a medium is someone in the middle between a human being and a non-human being of light, and both are beings of light, just in different frequencies and vibrations. And the medium is a translator, takes in the information from the other side, translates it for the human. Beings on the other side have no problem hearing us or listening to us or seeing us or knowing what we're thinking. They have no issues with that. They are so multisensory. They are living in the multisensory world. They don't have a physical form, although all beings on the other side, when I work as a medium, which is every single day, they show me what they look like in physical form. The majority of the time, they show me what they look like at the time of their passing, maybe to share some of the ways in which they left their body. There are some people who didn't like the way they looked. This is a very small percentage because you usually let go of a lot of those insecurities or self-loathing that the human race holds on to so deeply, which paralyzes them, and their inability to live a fulfilled life paralyzes them. So most people embrace more of themselves when they are ascending their energies, leaving their physical form and moving beyond the veil and ascending up through higher dimensions of frequency. But some people, maybe if they had obesity issues and struggled with it, they will not show me what they looked like at that time. They show me the version of themselves that they believe is more to what they really look like. And that's fun. That's super fun. But what I wanted to really point out today before I go to the questions is that one of the ways that you can step into your own mediumship ability, allow yourself to shift your perception, which is critical. Everything is about perception. When you change your perception about something, the subatomic particles change to match your new perception. So you have to think differently than the majority of the human race. And I don't mean in that weird conspiracy theory. No, not that. In very high vibrations of high frequency of joy and love and light, but go beyond the human definition of what reality looks like, because this is probably a hologram of some sort. Everything is probably a hologram of some sort. So you have to be open to new perceptions. So one of the ways you can step into the vibration of mediumship a whole lot easier is to start to honor the soul's decision on how and when it wanted to leave its body. And you can have two perspectives. You can have your human perspective where you really miss someone deeply and you may mourn for them and grieve that their presence isn't in the physical form in the way you are so comfortable with. You can have those moments, absolutely. And we also need to honor the soul. I really think the human race needs to change the definition of death and our expectations about it and what it really means. I think as a society of people, as a culture of beings, it limits us, not only in our ability to be multisensory, but it limits us in our consciousness and in our awareness and keeps us locked in things of mind-made grief, not real grief. Real grief is delicious. It's very transformative. It's really interesting. It's extremely powerful. But mind-made grief is paralyzing. It's not even authentic, which is a whole nother story. But back to my point, if you can honor, have your moments of grief, miss the people that you love, but honor that every soul is choosing when and how they come to the planet and how they get to their family. There's no mistakes, by the way, when it comes to whoever raised you. That is who you picked, I promise you, before you reincarnated, for good reasons, powerful reasons, highly conscious reasons. And when a soul is leaving the earth, they are making decisions about how they exit, which every form of an exit is considered a form of suicide because it's a choice that a soul is making. Most humans are unconscious to this dialogue, this conversation. And so when they're choosing that, we need to also honor that. So we can be sad when an airplane goes down and beautiful, innocent lives are lost. That's the human definition of what happened. We can be in that place and be compassionate and be sad and want, to have better industries performing well or have airplanes last longer or whatever the deal is that created the accident, which, the soul is choosing that moment to die in an airplane accident. That's how it wants to leave its body, because the only way the soul's energy that's in the human form in a physical reality like Earth moves is through the death of the physical body. So these choices are made prior to our incarnation, and they're good reasons, good choices. There are an additional 4 exit routes that souls can choose that maybe aren't as predetermined in terms of what a soul wants to experience. We have free will. We can leave the planet whenever we wish. And I'll talk more about that on our next podcast. So giving you some food for thought, hoping you change your perceptions about things, get curious. That's what changing perception means. Become curious, become aware, realize that the way that humans define reality is extremely limiting and not accurate. There's only a sliver of logical accuracy in the human's definition of life. The rest is not true. Okay, so I'm going to go to...
Hi, Marie. This is Lisa from Surprise, Arizona. I want to ask you about my business. Things have slowed down to almost nothing, and I would just love to see things pick up and see more income. And I have created a partnership with a friend where we are creating a program for people going into retirement like ourselves. And we feel like we have so much to offer, but we just keep having trouble getting things going. We've created a beautiful website. I love my retired life. And we've got all that done. We've created a program, but we just can't seem to get things going, syncing up our schedules to start our program. So I'm just hoping that you can give me some advice on what you feel about our business and what we can do to get things going. Thanks.
Hello, Lisa. That was a great question. It sounds really cool. I mean, there are a lot of people who need to figure out their retirement life because we are living longer, and it's going to be boring if you're just sitting at home and not really doing something that could be fulfilling. But the issue isn't the website. I'm glad it's beautiful. The issue is you're not great at receiving, and probably your business partner isn't either. So to manifest things, to make things work, you have to be highly receptive. My guides sat me down, this is probably 15, 20 years ago, when I started the radio show, which now is this podcast that I changed the format to. And people would just give me accolades. People who've never met me, who probably will never meet me. They've never had a session with me. And they would be so kind. They would write just these heartfelt emails, which I still receive today, which is incredibly generous and kind of people that take time out of their day. They even send me cards and all kinds of things, which just touches my heart deeply. But when it first started to happen, I was shocked and I was embarrassed a little bit. I was like, oh, they don't even know me. I mean, maybe I'm not that great of a person that they think I am. I had resistance to receiving appreciation that people had for what I was doing. And my guides sat me down and they go, look, they said it very more gently and nicely, that the spiritual realm is extremely kind and compassionate to everyone. And they said, would you like your radio show to be successful? And I said, yes. And they said, well, then you need to start appreciating all the love that is coming towards you, because that's going to build audiences for you and allow you to be more successful in every area of your life. You need to let people appreciate you and love you. And you need to love yourself more so that you feel worthy and deserving of this praise and these lovely gifts that people send me in cards. I have so many cards. I put them in books. I'll hopefully go over them again because, of course, I read them when they arrive and they're very, heartfelt. When someone can take the time to do something like that, you know that you've somehow helped them in some way or the experience was helpful for them. So you guys need to learn on receiving. You need to learn to receive. You need to let the universe love you. I've talked about this a lot on every social media platform that I'm a part of. And one of the ways to do this is imagine that all the pores on your skin are open. Maybe spend 5 minutes a day, first thing in the morning, or if you're a later in the day person, at night before you go to bed, and you're imagining light or water or something pleasing just moving into your cells. And then using what if questions. What if I'm worthy and deserving of all that would bring me fulfillment and prosperity? And then you'll need to work on the wealth thing too, which I've talked a lot about in these podcasts. I'm going to go to the next caller. I'm assuming there'll be another question about that. So I'll give more information on this podcast, but I'm going to try to move through some of the phone calls. But I wish you great luck. And it sounds like a great idea. I like it a lot.
Hello, Marie. I'm Marinella. I'm very excited to get in touch with you. I am calling from Germany, but I was born in Romania. So I would like to ask you two things. First of them is I am a nurse, and I don't resonate with this job anymore. And I know you said that we should find our joy. But I would really like to know your thoughts about it. And the second one is I really want a boyfriend. I want a romantic partner for so long, and I know that you say that we should imagine that we already have it, but my issue is that every time I'm trying to do that, something terrible is happening with one of us or both of us. Is like we are dying in a car accident or something like this. So I will really love to know what you think about it, and thank you so much for your answer. And I love your show. I love your podcast, and I'm watching your radio show. And thank you. Bye bye.
You're welcome. I'm glad you like the show. Okay, a couple things. So I think what you were saying when you are trying to imagine that you're already in this beautiful relationship, and I'll describe that in more detail, all of a sudden you have this other vision that's coming through that's uncomfortable and scary. That's your ego. Humans have to learn to train their minds. It is not okay to allow the ego free access into your brain. I mean, it is in your brain, but the brain is supposed to be quiet. The mind was only created for humanity to solve logical needs. Like today, before I went live on the podcast, I have to test the mic. I have to do a little recording to make sure it's all working right, make sure I've got some decent light in here, some water near me, a pen, so that I write down all the numbers of the people who left a question so that we can move them out and move new ones in. So you have to learn to manage your brain. What I've said many times is that humans need to treat their mind like a dog. And everyone knows how much I love dogs, or at least my dog. I love dogs, but I'm a little scared of them too sometimes. So, you know. Um, and dogs need constant, consistent verbal praise and management. Charles is in my office right now, sleeping on a chair. And I've already told him numerous times this morning because he wouldn't go outside to go potty. And I needed to get on the podcast and he hadn't used the bathroom yet. So I opened up the door for him this morning and said, potty, 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 like multiple times, potty, 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 until he went outside. So he needs management because if I come in here and sit down and then he has to go all of a sudden, you know, he's only had an accident once in the house, but it could happen, right? So your mind is like that. It's a dog. It's not a cat. Now, cats you cannot manage unless they're kind of like dogs. There's very few cats like this. Cats are super independent. They're also can be relatively negative creatures, and they're very interesting. But you can't manage cats. Humans tend to treat their brain like it's a cat, but it's not, it's a dog. So when a vision comes in your head that is not in alignment with what you want, you have to stop it. You have to then do a what if question, do something kind and loving to yourself. And I do think falling in love with yourself is going to help you. And believe me, Marinella, if I'm saying your name correctly, and thank you for being a nurse, you do not love yourself. You like yourself. You've had some successes that you're proud of, and I'm so happy that you are. But self-love is off the radar for you. It's really hard to create wealth. It's hard to attract a partner, and it's hard to find your next path in life or career when you don't love yourself. Everything that is in our highest good, we love. It brings us great joy. So when you don't have those feelings to yourself, it's really difficult to attract it. It's difficult to be attracted to it. You can't see it. You can't feel it because you don't have the vibration in your body in terms of love for yourself. So that's what I would recommend that you do. And when you start to fall in love with yourself, you start to notice the things that bring you joy, that make you happy. And that is the yellow brick road. Joy, authentic personal joy that is meaningful to you, not to others, but just to you. Okay. Thank you so much.
Hi, Marie. My name is Melissa. I work with my husband, and his negative outlook. He's a things happen to me kind of guy, and I'm a things happen for me kind of girl. But his negative constant outlook is a reminder for me to stay in the present and to stay positive. But there are days that I wish that I could create a negative free zone. Those days are very challenging for me. And I've started to allow myself alone time to scream out loud by myself so I can release the frustration. I feel maybe it's working, but I'm just not sure. I've also been working on my energy fields, and I would like to know how my energy fields look so that I can see if there's some leakage somewhere that I can work on. So what I would like from you is some suggestions on how to navigate my day. And I'd also like to have some what ifs for you to help me during my struggles. Thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate everything you do for us and for the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. It's my joy, honestly, my absolute joy to do what I do. It doesn't feel like work. So, Melissa, even when you first said I work with my husband, I'm like, no, don't work with him. So here's something that people need to understand about energy. There's some things we can't move. Like when I have clients that have certain health issues, I know they need to either quit their job, move, leave relationships, change new friends, and I can't do that for them. I cannot go to their home and pack all their stuff and help them move to Argentina because maybe that's where they need to be. I can't help people to just dissolve relationships. I can't help people I can give them advice about it. But what I'm saying is that's an energy. It's like a wall, just like how you have tried to teach your husband. He's a younger soul than you. He's a nice man. This is not a nefarious person from my perspective, but he is a younger soul. And so you're not going to see eye to eye. And he clearly doesn't respect you in this light, at least, because you have told him over and over again what you need. And you know his behaviors are not helping the business. I mean, business looks actually pretty good to me. Imagine what it would be like if he was more of a positive individual. I'm sure everybody knows someone in their life. We definitely have a family member in our life who must be extremely fortunate because they're one of the most negative, manipulative, difficult people. And everyone agrees about this person. And we often say, wow, if this person would only be positive, if they were only find their authentic joy, wow, amazing things would happen to them because this one person, like your husband, I'm not saying he's super manipulative, but he is a little, quite frankly, lucky things happen for them. Well, imagine how fortunate they would be if they stayed positive. But here's the truth. He's not listening to you. He's not going to listen to you. He doesn't care what you have to say. And that's okay. That's perfectly fine that that's the way he is, but you need to get clear. You need to get very, very clear with yourself about what's really going on. You should absolutely not work together. I don't even think you should live together. I do not think you should be married. These are just my perceptions. No one should do what I want what I say, unless they want to do that. But I don't see things changing. So let's imagine that I was living in a house that I don't like, which is not true. I love my house. And I buy things and choose things to be in my life that make me happy, because maintaining high vibration is challenging for a lot of people. It's not easy because we have 8 billion human souls, and then most of them are negative and self-loathing and unhappy, just because they don't have the consciousness or the awareness, or, there just hasn't been a lot of change on Earth. And Earth is supposed to be a contractual place so that you go, oh, I don't like this. I'm not going to do that again. Like if you ever decide to leave this relationship, you will never date someone who is negative. You will, in the future, date people who are positive and uplifting and supportive of one another, because of this experience that you had. So that becomes very rewarding and super important, because most of the time when souls come to Earth, they've already tried to change their behaviors or their thought processes and non-physical realities. And in non-physical realities, you don't have to live with anyone. You don't need a house. You don't need food. You don't pay taxes. So we don't always have the motivation to make the critical changes within our being, because we don't have the drive to, like, oh, I'm fine. Everything's fine. I know I got to work on that thing, but hey, I'm just going to paint more pictures and go lay in a hammock or go fly to another dimension. I mean, it's really, really fun. It's like being on vacation all the time. So when souls get serious about wanting to really uplift or shift their vibration, they often choose to come into a dimension like Earth to have an experience where they have contractual, meaningful experience is like being around someone who's negative all the time, to help them go, I will never allow that in my life again. That is not acceptable for me. It doesn't work for me. So here's my thoughts. You're not going to like some of them. I would set a boundary with your spouse and say, look, in my presence, you are never allowed to speak, think negative thoughts. You got to figure this out, because I cannot do this any longer, because I don't see you leaving soon. You might actually in the next 3 to 5 years, and 3 really jumped out at me, because we can't change other people. Sometimes people want to change and they want to grow, and they love having partners where they can bounce off ideas from one another, and business partners, not just romantic partners, but business partners. I mean, can you imagine? Well, you can, of course, working in a place where your ideas are shot down because you're with someone who's so negative and scared. And it has nothing to do with you. It's not personal. He's actually trying to teach you something. He's trying to teach you your worth and your value so that you choose what's in your best interest and own your own power. And you're trying to teach him to let go of this cat-like behavior, because cats can be very negative, and become more like a dog. That's what you're trying to teach him. Now, you have no obligation to each other. No one is ever obligated to be with someone until they change. That's impossible. Only changes occur at the soul level when the soul wants to change. It has nothing to do with other people ever. So I think you're doing all the right things. I think you need to set some boundaries. I recommend you do not work together, that you go figure that out and consider not living together. And I'm sorry if that upsets you and you don't like what I'm saying. But again, we can't force him to change, and you're not happy, and you want to move forward in your life. You want to create a lot of stuff. You have a ton of energy. It's very positive. So that's my thoughts. I hope that you're okay with them. All right, on to the next person.
Hi, Marie. This is Lavina here from Sydney, and thank you so much for taking my message. So, my question is that so, you know how you speak whenever you speak, and it seems like you know how you speak from your heart, or like it comes so naturally to you. Like for me, like I have to like think quite a lot before I speak. So, I just want to check with you, like, what can I do um, to speak so I don't have to like think quite a lot, like speak from my heart. And also, if you can do an energy read for me, please, like a general one on how my chakras are looking and what is it that I need to focus on um, for my highest good. Thank you so much.
Okay, Lavina. Great question, by the way. So I don't focus on my heart chakra. I'm an empath like you are, and most of the people who listen to this podcast are empath. That means your soul is extremely old. You've lived many, many hundreds of thousands of lifetimes, most likely, in other dimensions too, not just Earth. And compassion is something you've been working on for others, and you have mastered it. You've reached your PhD level. In fact, you're auditing the course of compassion. You need to stop and learn how to receive. So the heart chakra, the reason why I don't hang out consciously in my heart chakra, because like you, if I do, although I've worked on it for so long, I'm much better than I used to be. I will ignore my own needs, my own feelings, my own thoughts, and just sacrifice myself for others. Believe me, my children are over nurtured. Not so much today, but they certainly were. I still over nurture them, but it's okay. So I want you to rest in the second chakra area. This is not about abandoning the heart chakra, but I don't see things the way that most spiritualists do. This whole talk about being in your heart chakra, I think is not effective or healthy because most old souls and empathic people are in their heart chakra inaccurately. They're projecting their own fears. They're sacrificing their life for others. They're holding themselves back. So it's not like you're going to deprive this chakra of lighter energy. You have 7 primary chakras. They all need light and energy. In fact, if you leave it alone for like 5 years so it can go back to its original balance. The heart chakra is neutral. It's not supposed to be overly empathetic or sympathetic. It is the vibration of the love of God, of the universe, which thinks that everything is perfect exactly the way it is. So that's the goal of the heart chakra. Younger souls who have smaller heart chakras, they do need to be in their heart chakras because they need to learn compassion, and they're not going to be able to feel other people and what they need until they learn how to move into their heart chakra. So older souls are learning self-compassion. So I think you should rest in your second chakra. That's where your feelings are. And that's why you're in your brain. You're trying to find your feelings, but they're not in your brain. The brain will create mind-made emotions. They are not accurate. Start resting in the lower half of your body. Wiggle your toes often. Feel your feet. Like even right now as I'm speaking to you, I'm allowing myself, the nerves in my skin, to feel the leggings that I'm wearing. I'm feeling my glute muscles where I'm sitting. Just allow yourself to have this consistent awareness of the lower half of your body. That way you'll directly jump in to the emotional response system, which is literally in your aura. It's not even in your body. I mean, everything blends and is connected, but the second layer of the auric field is about 1.5 feet from a textbook perspective away from you. And that's where your emotions are. You want to speak from that place. That's where confidence is, insight, awareness, consciousness, truth, from your authentic emotional body, which is always calm. The brain, when we're thinking emotions, they are not calm and they are not authentic. I hope that's helpful. Your energy, you have a leak throughout your auric field. So that exercise that I shared earlier today would be perfect for you. Okay.
Hello, Marie. My name's Deborah, and I live in England. And thank you so much for this. My question is, I've been experiencing a chronic illness, a UTI, for 7 years, and I'm healing. but it seems to not be getting any better. Just advice and insight that you may have about this, please, so I can heal and recover and help others too. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Deborah. I'm sorry for the UTIs. Those are really uncomfortable. I've had a couple in my life and they are terrible. They're not fun. I don't think yours are like as acute. It's kind of a chronic condition. The acute ones are pretty painful because you get on top of it right away. So you get it to some place of balance, but it's still a struggle, and 7 years is too long. The bladder and the kidneys and the adrenal glands are governed by your second chakra. Each one of the primary chakras has an emotional component. And when we are in alignment with that emotion, then we balance the organs that it governs. The second chakra also governs reproductive organs, the adrenal glands, of course, the appendix. So the emotion for the second chakra is joy. When people get UTIs or sinus infections or gallbladder issues, this is from feeling frustrated. So frustration in these bladders, like the sinuses, the gallbladder, the actual urine bladder, they don't do well when there's a lot of frustration in the body. That's what creates friction within them. And then particles can get stuck in there rather than moving through. And then infections can occur, or gallstones when we look at the gallbladder, or infections as well. So you have to learn not to be frustrated, and you need to learn to feel joy, which is not your favorite emotion, in my opinion. And I want you to start with little things, just little things. I wish everyone would just constantly surround themselves with things that bring them joy. Like even on my table, although my desk is just a little messy, I have crystals here. I have some apophyllite because it brings me joy. I have some amethyst because it brings me joy. This is a really pretty crystal. I have my what if cards because I love the art on the back of it. I have a stack of them here. I actually created this art through Encaustic. Makes me happy. I even have, to open up water bottles that are really tight, I have a garden glove in here because it's hard for me sometimes to open them. And so the rubber part allows me to have the grasp, but I love to garden. So I have a garden glove in here. So if you could be more purposeful in your surroundings, in fact, in front of me, I have two large paintings of herons. No, I did not make those because herons, especially blue herons, but all of them are my favorite bird. I just love them. So when I'm talking to you and I'm looking out, I'm looking at something that will help me to maintain my frequency. So some people are very visual, and I obviously showed visual things for you. And that's because you are very visual yourself. So that means you need to surround yourself so that wherever your eyes go, you land on something that actually brings you joy, which you may need to figure out. You may need to go, does this bring me joy? Does that bring me joy? Does this bring me joy? Does that bring me joy? It's very important for visual people. Like, I don't drive a car that doesn't make me happy. I need to like the stitching or the feel of the steering wheel. I'm highly visual like you. So I'm very cautious to allow my surroundings to help me to raise my frequency and my vibration. So that is what you need to do. Absolutely. And stay away from fear, because fear lowers the vibration of the kidneys and the adrenal glands and the bladder. What if questions? Yeah. What if I'm free? Because joy is a very freeing feeling. It reminds me of kids playing hide and go seek. I mean, that's a joyful feeling, or swinging on a swing. Go swing on a swing. Go begin to feel the vibration of joy. This will free your bladder. What if I'm free? What if I'm experiencing joy every single day authentically? What if I'm falling madly in love with myself? I hope that's helpful.
Hi, Marie. This is Julia from Virginia. First, thank you for answering our questions. It's really amazing and awesome of you to provide this outlet. I recently retired and now have the time to begin to develop more of my empathic and intuitive side. I know I've always been an empath, and have downloads of information come to me randomly. And I want to look more into it. I'm also very interested in energy healing. What steps can you see me taking to begin this new exciting journey? Thanks.
Great question. Congratulations for choosing a career path, hobby, whatever you decide it will be for you. That brings you great joy. When you said energy medicine, your energy just went. "Bong." So I would read books, take classes. I would start laying hands on people before I even took a class. And I took a weekend Reiki workshop, the same one that I teach here in Seattle. I think we're teaching it in May this year. You can always go to energyintuitive.com and go to the course page. I teach pretty much year round online, not so much in the summer, but I do more in-person things in the summer. So just start laying your hands on people. I remember I was on a bus, a school bus. My children's school was traveling to Oregon to go to the Shakespearean Festival from Washington State. And I volunteered. And on the bus, I could feel that one of these kids needed me to lay hands on them. And luckily, their parent was on the bus, and I asked permission. And it turned out this kid had a headache, a really bad one, which I didn't logically know, I intuitively knew. So I lay hands on them. And when you lay hands, because you don't have to study a modality to create healing. In fact, what would be great is if you study a modality, it's one that brings you joy. And so that means everyone has to know what the joy feeling feels like for them, to recognize it, to identify it, to follow that path. And I laid hands on him, standing in the bus, which probably wasn't very safe while he's going down the road. And his headache went away. And when I laid hands on him, because I hadn't studied a modality yet, I just let my hands do what they wanted. I allow my hands to be free. And I think that's what you are craving, to have freedom in the multisensory world, to make up your own way in it. I think you are very smart. You've obviously been intuitive your whole life, which is nice to have that awareness. And so I'm saying, just go ahead and start laying hands on people. Just ask them, like, you might have a sense like, hey, how's your stomach doing lately? Or did you have a headache last night? Or gosh, I'm a little nauseous when I sit next to you. If you have those type of aha moments, release them. Intuition needs it. It has a depth to it. So it needs to be released so that more can come through. Even if you're not sure, like when I stood up on that bus and asked his mother if I could lay hands on him, she said, yes, please. Now, if I'd sat down in the chair and reevaluated and processed and analyzed, why am I feeling this way? This is ridiculous. I wouldn't be trusting my intuition. And then there wouldn't be more intuitive energy to come through. So that's what I'm recognizing you do. And take classes that bring you joy, if any of them do. Okay. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Laura and I'm from the UK. And I'm just leaving a voicemail. I'm just starting my spiritual journey. I'm 43. I've been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and as I say, I'm just getting into my spiritual journey, and I'd just like a reading or how I can improve my self-awareness and basically progress on my journey. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, Laura. I'm sorry for the rheumatoid arthritis. You're young, which is great. So arthritis, it has two chakras that are involved. One, the third chakra, because it governs the immune system, which is all about self-love. That's one of the reasons why I bother everyone about it. And if you and not just you, Laura, but anyone who's listening, if you have resistance towards self-love, that means you really, really, really need it. Resistance is always a sign that you need to move towards that thing, not walk away from it. But it's also a root chakra disease. So it's about not letting go. It's about first family. That means childhood issues. I would definitely do some inner child work with an aware, energetic therapist or coach. I have one on my website, Stephanie Moberg, who I think is quite lovely. She's my go-to person. There's another beautiful person on my website, Nelia. I always say her name wrong. Sorry, Nelia. That I say your name wrong. She's in New York. She's an amazing hypnotherapist and healer. She does a really great job. She's helped me a few times in my life. So that would be, you need to do some inner child work for sure. Maybe some hypnotherapy would help. And you might be on some strong chemicals. You may have chosen not to do that. I don't know. Which everyone gets to make their choices on how they want to heal. I love all forms. I think if we follow our intuition, we know what would be in our best interest. Like, for example, and as I say what I'm going to say, I'm saying this to everyone who's listening to the podcast. Don't be mad at me that I got the COVID vaccine. My mind said, absolutely do not get one. And my nurse was very logical about it because I didn't feel it was tested long enough. Right? I'm not against vaccines, but I don't like a lot of vaccines. I don't think that's a great idea. But my intuition told me to get the vaccine, which shocked the heck out of me. I'm like, oh, really? And I'm so glad I did. To this date, so far, it doesn't look like I've had COVID. I could have had it and have no idea. Everyone else in my family has had it. I think everyone. Yeah, I maybe one of the kids didn't. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, like, notice my logical mind had all this resistance towards a vaccine, which intuitively all my intuitive friends, people that I have trusted for readings or whatnot, had the very same impression. That doesn't mean that everyone should receive any vaccine. You have to use your intuition. But what I am saying more than anything is intuition is surprising. So if you're on strong medication, because I have an actual idea that could be helpful for you, then you could do, if your doctors will need to know and your pharmacist will need to know that you are considering taking this supplement. It's serapeptase. I've talked about it before on the podcast. They have it in modern medicine form too, serapeptase, where you can take, I think it's 240 milligram or 240,000 units in the modern medicine. That means they created it in a lab. It's synthetic versus natural. It's a digestive enzyme, but it breaks up proteins and it helps a lot of people with joint pain and arthritic problems. And then if your doctors approve, which they might say, oh, you can only do the modern medicine one. I don't know, because I'm not a doctor, and medicine, has side effects. Even herbs have side effects. So we have to make sure that if we're on certain medication, we're going to take something even natural, that they're not going to not play well together. The natural serapeptase is 120,000 units, and you can take it forever, as long as you're not taking anticoagulants. At least that's what the holistic world says. And I'm licensed or a practitioner in any form of herbs or vitamins. So it's always important to seek out professionals who have those qualifications. And I think that would be helpful. Okay, I hope that helps, and fall in love with yourself. That will help your immune system so that you don't have any more problems with your joints. That would be incredible. And learn to let go. That's your what if question. What if I surrender and get out of the way? Because arthritis is about holding on. Okay, thank you.
Hello, Marie. I'm so grateful to have crossed paths with you as I searched YouTube trying to find something to watch. I really needed your nurturing energy in that moment. My name is Sky, and I am living in the Denver, Colorado area. My question is in regards to my health. I've had a lot of physical challenges in the last 2 years, but no answers from a medical standpoint. Most concerning to me is the extreme pressure in my head and behind my eyes. Vision changes that happened about a year ago that have not resolved. I tend to awfulize things and play worst case scenarios in my head all day. However, I keep hearing that this could be spiritual, question mark, or stemming from grieving the loss of my mother, a lack of self-love and worth, which I think is keeping me in a cycle of self-sabotage and addiction. So I'm just kind of hoping that you could provide some clarity and or direction, and I'm open to whatever is coming up for you. I thank you for sharing your gift with me and so many others so that we may heal and grow.
Yes.
P.S. I would love to take one of your classes. I'm wondering if you might make a recommendation on one coming up or in the near future that could suit me best. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sky. Yeah, you have to stop thinking, my dear. I'm glad that this podcast is nurturing that. Warms my heart. to feel that or to know that from you. That's wonderful. Yeah, we could all stand for a lot of nurturing ourselves, nurturing others, oh, and the joy of it. So you have to stop thinking, you have to stop analyzing, hang out in the lower half of your body, wiggle your toes. I also think near infrared and red light therapy would work amazing for you. Incredible and amazing. I love platinum therapy. There's Red Rush. When I look for near infrared and red light panels, I look for those who have the least amount of UV light exposure because that's incredible. We don't need UV light. That's not good for our skin and our bodies. But your mitochondria are tired. You don't have enough ATP in your body, which is the medical form of energy that the body runs off of. And these near infrared and red light panels provide that for people. So that's what I would recommend that you do. There was something else that you said. Just the thinking and overanalyzing just is not in your best interest. I think the eye changes are because you aren't seeing yourself accurately. I think you're disappointed. I think you wanted more out of your life, and you've had a good life. But that's what I think. And I want you to start valuing and appreciating yourself as much as possible. I think that's critical. Today, before I went live on the podcast, I went, oh, I don't have any lipstick on. And I opened up a drawer and one of my favorite lipsticks was there. I'm like, oh, honey, I'm so proud of you. You put it in the drawer. Good job. So if we can find moments like this to, love and honor and cherish ourselves and have joy for ourselves, it's really good for our future. I think it would be great for you to take any class about energy. I don't know. I know I have some classes, some 8-week courses coming up in the spring. One of them might be about energy. So anything to do with energy healing, energy awareness, how to run your vibration or your frequency, which I do teach in pretty much every class, that would be great for you. That would be a great start. You're not a start person. You have a lot of awareness, but I think you just missed a few steps about energy consciousness for yourself and your own body. That's what I think. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. My name is Jen. I have a question about my dad, and I would love a mediumship reading. His birthday is tomorrow, and it's his first birthday since he passed almost a year ago. It'll be a year in January. So I would just love to hear from him. And also, if you have time, I'd love any suggestions or advice about how to deepen my mediumship skills. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm so sorry your dad's passed, but he's not. He's super, super happy. Obviously, I'm recording this not the day before his birthday because you left this recording a little while ago because we have a lot of beautiful questions that I get to spend hopefully the rest of my life answering. I'm so delighted. He loves you deeply. He says you put him on a pedestal. That's what your dad tells me. Like you have him on this high pedestal. And of course he loves it. He loves how well you two got along and all of those things. But he says you need to take him off the pedestal or put yourself on so that you can be in the same position. He would love that if you put yourself on a pedestal too and rose your self-reflection of who you are to the level that you have with him. He would love that. So the mediumship thing, you definitely have the energy for it, even professionally speaking, from what I can see. And if anybody has and I'm saying this to everyone who's listening, if anybody has a joy to do something, if someone tells you you can't do it, don't listen to them, even if it's me. If you have joy towards something, that's a sign from the heavens to listen to it, to pay attention to it and follow it. I once had a beloved astrologer who's now living on the other side tell me during a reading when I was writing Intuitive Self-Healing, published by Sounds True. You can always find it on Amazon or my website. He told me I would never publish a book. And luckily, my guides taught me very early on, because a lot of individuals in the multisensory world, not this person, he was always delightful and kind to me, but some people would feel intimidated by me. And I didn't realize what was happening initially, but my guides would tell me right away, take that comment as a compliment. They're intimidated by you, and you're actually really great at what you're doing. And there's a lot of positive that will happen for you in your career path. So as I'm sitting across from the astrologer and I'm hearing him say, you will never write a book, I can hear my guide say, you really will write a book. He's just a little intimidated by you. He was a very well-published author, prolific in his writing. So I don't know what he was intimidated about in that moment, but he was always very kind and generous towards me. So I told you those stories because if anyone tells anyone that they shouldn't do something when they have a joy about it, don't listen to it. The universe knows exactly what they're doing. So back to your gorgeous, beautiful question. Follow your joy. Fall deeply in love with you. Your dad is excited for you. He would love to help you in your mediumship abilities. So when people cross over, when they come to us to have a conversation or connect, whoever they are, it could even be a neighbor from a long time ago. It's because they come because they want to be helpful. Not everybody wants to be helpful. That's why some people don't come around. Like free will is the strongest law in the universe. Your father said he would be honored to be your guide in the mediumship world. It would bring him nothing more than joy to return the favor of all the pleasure you brought him. So that's exciting. All right. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. This is Thelma from Houston, and I have a question concerning my life path purpose. And I want to know if I'm on the right path for my life purpose. And I feel as if I'm ready for a change. And can you give me any guidance on what that direction is and where it might lead me? Thank you.
Okay, Thelma, that's very general. I mean, yeah, you said life path, but you first think you're on your life path, but you want to make a change. So I think change is really lovely and it's really great, but I don't feel high frequency energy about either where you are or where you're going. So I don't think you've hit it yet. Sometimes we go into directions that are helpful, like nursing was a part of my path. That's why I still miss it. And hospitals are really incredible places of transformation because souls are coming in and souls are leaving. Energetically, at least a percentage of people who come into a hospital, those are the things that are happening. So I don't think you've quite reached it. I don't feel that high frequency. So that's what I would encourage you to do, is to practice the art of running your energy at a high frequency, which is happiness. Happiness is a high frequency. And then look at where you are, look at where you think you're going. Maybe you don't know where you're going yet. That's what I think. But I don't think where you've been has been a high frequency. And I think that would be critical for you to get clear about that, so that you would recognize that you need to have a different feeling or vibration as you're choosing what's next. It doesn't mean that what you were doing was wrong, and there are levels to our path, but we want to be in the highest fulfilling that we possibly can be in our path. And that requires immense joy. When I think of the hospital, I miss some of the logical things I had to do, like put in IVs or Foley catheters or take staples, put on stereo strips. I loved all that stuff. And it's not weird to love whatever you do. It's normal. So people who work in healthcare who don't love doing that stuff, they're not supposed to be doing that. I'm just using that as an example. And you want a nurse who likes to put in a Foley catheter to put in your Foley catheter. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the podcast. This has been completely joyful for me. And I wish everyone joyful blessings, and I will be back very soon.